Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I have my July reading wrap up. It was a pretty good reading month. I read 9 books in total, 4 of which were actual books, 2 were physical, 2 were on my Kindle and 5 were audiobooks, but 3 were from the same series. I'm sure you can guess what series that is going to be. But we had like a variation of books this month. A few thrillers, some romance of course, getting into the more summery reads, highly anticipated releases, and of course rereads. So I'm just going to get straight on into it. We're going to start with the physical books. I actually only read 2 physical books, but I did read 2 on my Kindle as well. So the first book that I read was The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. I had read The Housemaid quite a while ago. I want to say like maybe last year, or even the year before. I don't know. Either way, I'd read the first one, but then not got round to reading the second one. But literally the third book was all over my TikTok, my Instagram, everywhere, and I felt left out. So I was like, right, I'm going to read this. So this essentially follows on from the first book. The first book follows Millie the maid. She is a housemaid, and it kind of follows her as she deals with the fact that she has like a criminal record, how to get a job, and she essentially earns a little bit of a reputation for herself, which is where this one kind of picks up. It's set a few years later, I think. I can't remember how long. It kind of follows her basically working as a housemaid for this new family, but there's just something not quite right. I did enjoy this one. Like, I think that Freida McFadden writes really fast-paced, easy to read thrillers. Are they the most complex, thought out, like jaw-dropping thrillers of all time? No, they are not, in my opinion. However, I do still enjoy them when I read them. This one I really liked and I was gripped, but I felt like I knew what was coming. Like, none of the plot twists really caught me off guard, and I feel like I had said to myself, like, oh, I feel like this is going to happen or this is going to be the plot twist, and I was right. So I don't know if they are the most, like, shocking, well, they're not, but I do still enjoy it for, like, readability, and I feel like they're just really easy to get through. I think I ended up giving this, like, a 3 stars, 3.5 maybe. It was pretty middle of the road, quite average, but like I said, I did enjoy it. So then after that I went on to The Housemaid is Watching, which is the 3rd book. This one is like quite a big time jump to where Millie is married, she has children, and she has essentially relocated. She's no longer a maid. They've just moved into this new house, her and her family, and something's not quite right with the neighbours. There is a housemaid involved, but it's not Millie. Something's not quite right with her as well. And basically, like, they thought they bought their dream home, but not everything is as it seems. This one for me was pretty slow. Like, I felt like a lot of it was just talking about her kids and her home life, and that's fine. Like, I do feel like we needed that progression, because how many stories can you have where she's a housemaid and something goes wrong? But also it felt like it took a long time before we actually got into like the plot. I would say it was around like 70% when things actually started like picking up. So it was a little bit slow moving, and yet again I feel like I knew what was going to happen. I had like guessed the plot, I just guessed the wrong person, if that makes sense. It won't unless you've read it, but like I kind of knew where it was going to go and wasn't really all that shocked and all that like thrilled and pleased with the ending. So I probably would give that one like a 3. I will say the trilogy overall is probably standing at about a 4 stars, because I did enjoy it, but I just felt like the last book wasn't the strongest. It almost was like a filler book. Like, it was a little bit, I don't know, I just didn't love it. Then we had the highly anticipated Reckless by Lauren Roberts. So this is the sequel to Powerless, which follows Payden and Kai. Payden, this book is, I find fantasy books so hard to describe, but basically this is set in the kingdom of Ilya. And in Ilya you have the elites and the ordinaries. Basically the elites are people that have powers. You do kind of have like different ranks of people that have powers, But essentially you have the elites and then you have the ordinaries, which have no powers whatsoever. And apparently the ordinaries are supposed to kind of like drain the power from elites. Like the elites aren't as strong if the ordinaries are there. So basically they try and kill all of the ordinaries. That's like the backstory. So we have our girl Payden. She is an ordinary living in plain sight. Like she's pretending to be like a lesser elite. But every year they have like purging trials. It's very much given the Hunger Games, the whole kind of like trials portion of it. But it's basically where elites go into these trials and it's kind of to weed out like the lesser elites. She gets put into these trials. Obviously she has no powers. She is put in there with Kai, who is Prince of the Kingdom. Like his dad is a king, but he is also the enforcer. Like his job is to rid the kingdom of the ordinaries. So you have an ordinary and you have an elite, the enforcer, put together. And it's like the perfect enemies to lovers that you could ever imagine. Like I loved the first book. I loved the tension between them. And obviously if you have read Powerless, you know how that one ends. It ends on such like a cliffhanger and really sets you up for this book. So every man and their dog was really excited for this one. And guys, I hate to say it, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I'm kind of disappointed. Like I feel like if you took Kai out of this book, I would not have liked the book. Like I liked this because of the tension and because of Kai. Like Kai is there, the man that you are. Astounding. Like I am rarely speechless and you've left me speechless. Absolutely loved him, like so much. And the tension between them, incredible. But I will say this is not how I expected this book to go. So it's not spoilers, but I'm gonna obviously talk about the plot of the book. Like I kind of expected there to be more of like a cat and mouse chase, more like higher stakes, more attempts on each other's lives. And like, fair enough, we got that towards the beginning, but Kai did not chase Payden as much as I thought he was going to, in terms of like, they were together for a lot of the book. And like, yes, they were enemies and yes, they were like threatening to kill each other, but like, they didn't even try, really. And like, I loved the tension between them and I loved how we got snippets of them together, like how that would work, and then like pretending that they're not enemies and having to put on this face, and when they're alone, like I loved all of that. But I just felt like a lot of this book wasn't needed. Like I feel like you could have longed out the little bit before he caught her and then made that bit more intense until he caught her, and then have the bit where they're caught, add in a few more like attempted murders on each other, and then get back to the end bit. I don't know, like it felt like a big bulk of the middle of the book, not even the middle, like a big chunk of the book in general was just them like making their way back to Ilya and running away from the guards here and then running away from these people. Like it felt a little bit repetitive. And also the two big plot points in this book, I knew that they were coming. I didn't know that they were both going to be in the book, but I was like, I feel like, again, spoilers are upcoming here. I feel like I had said she's either going to find out that she actually isn't ordinary, but she's like being taught to like suppress a power, or like she's never been taught how to use a power, or she's going to have some sort of like Feyre from Akatar thing where like she is insanely powerful and nobody quite has seen her power before, if that makes sense. Or that her dad was not her dad and like she had different parents or something and that's why she was ordinary. So already guessed that one. And then I'd said that either at the ending Kit was either going to like do something crazy with her or marry her. Like I feel like I knew that they were coming, those plot twists were coming, so they weren't really plot twists. I don't know, I was a little bit disappointed with this book, I hate to say it. It almost felt, well, Lauren Roberts has said that this book is like setting up the third book, but I feel like this book should be able to like hold its own and be a good book on its own without just being a filler book for the third one. You know what I mean? Going on to potentially one of my favourite, if not my favourite read of this month. That is Homebound by Meredith Trapp. So I actually got sent an arc of this. It is out on August the 8th, so it should be out by the time... No, it should be out just after this video goes up. So go and run and add this to your pre-order list, guys, because I am obsessed. Wyatt, the guy in this book, what a man. So this is a cowboy-esque kind of romance. It is single dad, based on like a ranch kind of farm type thing, bull rider, but it's a female bull rider, guys. Crazy, I love that. Have I already said single dad? Single dad, kind of grumpy sunshine, like childhood, not childhood friends to lovers, but basically, oh my god, it was just perfection. Like, I loved this so much. So basically, the guy, it's not really a spoiler, but like, he has been in love with this girl since they met at like 8 years old, and she's just always like thought of him as a friend. She goes for like the bad boys, the more like rugged type things, and he is like a golden retriever man. Even down to like, he has blonde curly hair, she goes for like the dark stubble kind of guys. So she has just never looked at him that way. But then basically he ends up leaving for reasons. He is with child, well, he's not with child, but he has this child, and they lose contact for a while. But he's decided enough is enough. He's getting his ass back home to Texas to go and get the girl. And I loved it. What a man he is. Like, every time I thought that he was like, he'd reached his peak, he went and did something else. And I'm in love with this man. Like, I really liked both of the main characters on their own, and I really liked them together, and like how they had like not just this, I don't want to say like they didn't have chemistry, because they obviously did, but how it wasn't this like love at first sight. Like, it's kind of a slow burn. She just starts like seeing him in a different light, and like the setting, put anything in a ranch and in some like honky tonk bar, I'm gonna eat it up every time. And the single dad trope too. Yeah, I'm sold. I just loved it. It was so close to a 5 stars. Like, I don't quite know why it wasn't a 5-star, but I was getting 5-star feelings all throughout this book. I just loved it. So good. I think I rated this in the end like a 4.5, 4.75. It was just exactly what I needed at the time. Then going on to audiobooks. So the first audiobook that I actually listened to was Powerful, which is the novella in between Powerless and Reckless. So that follows Adina, which if you have read Powerless, then you will know who Adina is, her story. That's kind of like her little novella. I didn't want to like read the book, so I just listened to the audiobook. I cried, of course, but I liked it more than I thought I was going to, because I was like, how attached can I really get to this character in like a 200-page novella when we already know what happens? I literally still cried. So I did enjoy that one. Then I listened to The Caller, which is in the Robert Hunter series by Chris Carter. Honestly, I read this one, it feels like I read these so long ago. Like, July has felt like a really long month. So I can't fully even remember the ins and outs, but I remember loving it. Like, this is my favourite book out of the series. It's basically... So the Robert Hunter series follows Robert Hunter, who is a detective for... I don't want to say the LAPD. He basically is like a homicide detective. He has his own like special unit. There is nobody on his level in terms of what he does. And each book kind of follows him dealing with a different serial killer. And this one, you have this guy, the caller, who essentially rings a family member whilst he has their family member like threatening to kill them, and you have to answer like 2 questions, but they're like meant to be really easy questions. It might be like, tell me their phone number. So like, they're questions that you almost like should know the answer to, but you don't, and then he'll like kill them. So anyway, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was quite eerie. Like, that was the one that for me, I think probably was the creepiest, and I really enjoyed it. And then the other 3 audiobooks that I listened to are all part of the same series. I feel like you will probably know what series this is if you have 1, watched my last reading wrap up, or 2, you know like what my favourite series is, and that is the Boys of Tommen series. So I listened to Binding 13 last month, and then this month I've actually listened to Keeping 13, Saving 6 and Redeeming 6. So if you don't know what this series is about, buckle in because I'm about to tell you for the 50th time. It follows the Boys of Tommen. So Tommen is a college, it's set in Ireland, and they are like rugby boys kind of. They are romances. It's like an interlinking, I wouldn't say the interlinking standalones. It is a series, but each set of books follows different characters, a different boy of Tommen. So the first books, which are Binding and Keeping 13, follow Johnny and Shannon. Johnny is some big hotshot rugby star. Shannon is very shy, very timid. She has a lot going on at home, and she moves to Tommen College because she's been bullied at her old school. She meets Johnny there, and it's kind of like them two kicking up like their love story, but like I said, she has a lot going on at home, so it's like him trying to get to the bottom of that. She has so much trauma, and the books are so much more than just a romance book. Like, I could not even explain to you how much I love those books. So I read Binding 13, which is kind of like them getting more used to each other. It's them developing their relationship. It has, like I said, a lot going on in Shannon's own life, and also navigating Johnny becoming this rugby star, all taking place like in the college, in the school where you have all of the friends. And then Saving 6 and Redeeming 6, my personal favourites, follow Joey, who is Shannon's brother. And I knew like from the get-go that Joey's books would break me. If I haven't, I'm sure I've said this already, but this is a reread, by the way. I was listening to them on the audiobooks because I just missed them, and like I needed to listen to them. I needed a little bit of them in my life. And honestly, guys, I would really recommend the audiobooks. I feel like sometimes audiobooks are never as good as a physical book, but these ones are like, they're not quite as good as a physical book, but they are almost there. Like, I really love the audiobooks. But anyway, I knew when I was reading Johnny and Shannon's books, the little snippets that we got of Joey, like I knew he would break my heart, and I was correct. Even the second time around, it's almost more painful because you know what he's going through, you know what is happening to him, and like it just broke my heart. I was listening to them at work, and there was literally a few times where I had to take my headphones out, get up and go into the bathroom at work to cry. I will defend Joey Lynch with my last dying breath. If Joey Lynch has 0 defenders, I'm dead. I will go to battle for that man every damn time. I just love him and he deserves the world. So this is a 5-star series for me. I would give every book 5 stars. I am going on to Taming 7, which is the last book as of right now. It is the most recent book. That one only came out in April, so I'm doing a reread pretty damn quick. That follows Gibbsy and Claire. Gibbsy is Johnny's best friend. Claire is Shannon's best friend. And I just love them. I have nothing else to say about them other than they are like my heart and soul books. I just love them so much, and every single character deserves the world. Love them. I just thought I'd hop in because technically I am actually cheating by adding this one in here, but this is my current read. I'm filming this video a few days before the end of July, and I feel like I will have finished this book by the end of July. Like I'm 186 pages in, and there's about 400, and I have 3 days left in July. So I do feel like I'm going to finish this one. I will keep you updated. It is 7 Summers by Paige Toon. I've heard very good things about this. I actually have not ever read a Paige Toon book, which I feel like is crazy. I know I used to watch Sophia and Shinsia all the time, and they always used to talk about Paige Toon books, but I just never got around to reading one. I don't know why. But I've heard really good things about this one. I obviously can't comment as of yet, but I am enjoying it. It's giving second chance love triangle, and I am intrigued to see where it's going to go. But I don't know, maybe keep an eye on my Goodreads and my Instagram to see what I think of this one. Or I'll update you in like a recent vlog or something. But just wanted to quickly hop in and say that whilst I remembered. Anyway guys, that felt very short and sweet, but that is my July wrap up. Not as many new reads as I would like. We do need to still get into the more summery romances, but that is what we are going to do in August. I am going to film an August TBR video as well, so stay tuned for that one. As always, make sure you're following my Goodreads and my Instagram to see everything that I'm reading. I do update more frequently on there. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know what is on your TBR, give me any recommendations, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!